All right, welcome. This is your eBuckles training. This is primarily thinking about in terms of collection and administration for eBuckles, and we call this eBuckles What to Know for Member Libraries. Margaret, there we go. Sorry, it was a little bit slow. What we're going to talk today, we're going to tell you a little bit about what do we mean by eBuckles. It's actually more than just a collection. We're going to tell you who collects for eBuckles and how that all works. We're going to give you some tips and advice for making most of your Advantage Plus collection that you might have with us. And we're going to tell you a little bit about what to do when things go wrong or if things go right. So what do we mean when we say eBuckles? So eBuckles is a shared overdrive account, and it is a mandatory service that all of our member libraries have access to. Now, by mandatory, that means that everybody's going to be charged money for us to build this shared collection. Everybody gets access to it, including people who sign up for e-cards. So if you sign up for an e-card online, you'll get access to this collection for 4 weeks. Now, eBuckles goes beyond just the shared overdrive account. It includes the eBuckles committee, which is something we have every year. And it is charged with oversight and training of the overdrive shared account product, right? It also works with the individual Advantage accounts. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the way to think about it is we meet once a year, and actually we're coming up, it'll happen next week, where we sit down and Buckles is going to allocate. We allocated a little over $216,000 to be spent this year on e-content. We also allocated a little over $38,000 for e-magazines. And this is the group who decides how we spend that money, meaning how much do we spend on youth, how much do we spend on YA, how much do we spend on adult fiction, and how much do we spend on adult nonfiction, right? We said it's available to our online registration from moment one. Now, this is something we worked very hard to do, and I think we're going to continue to try and keep available. So your patrons, you should know, let's say it's the middle of the night or it's midnight, and I really would like to examine an overdrive thing. Well, you can sign up for an e-card, and that e-card gives you back a number that you might, and you're going to become accustomed to seeing. It's called a PAC Reg card for us. It starts with PACREG. That card is automatically live for 4 weeks the minute it comes to the member or the patron. And that patron then can select anything out of our overdrive shared collection. Now, it has a very limited amount. So it goes away in 4 weeks and really has to be transitioned to a regular card after that. I want to just stop here and make a big point. This next one is a really big thing for everybody to know. Member libraries do not need an Advantage account to use, but it can help, and we'll explain that in just a minute. But it's important to know that the mandatory service is the shared overdrive account. That's the only thing that you are absolutely on the hook for. I do have people who don't have Advantage accounts. Having an Advantage account hooked into our eBuckles area is what we call an optional service. It's something you decide to do if you want to. There is some advantage to it. The primary advantage is, let's say I've got the new John Grisham in my Advantage account, right? And my patron is in position 100 in the queue. What that means is, let's say my copy of Grisham comes back. My person who's 100th in that queue now goes to position 1 and takes that copy, right? They jump all the way up because that's part of what the advantage of Advantage account is. We do tell people that. That's really great. It's got other little things. We're going to talk about those in the later part of here, but that's really the advantage of the Advantage is you can jump your patron for your material that you bought to the front of the line. This bullet point is something I want to really hammer home to folks so that they understand our sharing. You know, you guys are in a sharing kind of environment. When we buy things, we immediately share everything with everybody, with some format exceptions. But I want to just call out, we do an annual report every year. We talk about where all your material is going and where all you're getting your materials from. And on average, our members typically get 85% of what they use in their ebook and e-audiobook from other libraries or the central collection, right? Other libraries, the central collection. And to put this into perspective, this is actually a reversal. When we think about your standard collection, usually that's about 75% of what is checked out in your library comes from your own collection, and about 25% comes from other collections. In the e-content, we find it's just reversed, right? So that the majority, as you can see, our best library, the library that does the best job of filling its local holds, can only do it at 80%. It's only doing 20% of their local need at their local level. So we really have a robust sharing within eBuckles. The one thing I will point out, I know I was talking to Jill about this the other day, we do include the 4,000 and some titles in the Overdrive magazine product, formerly Zinio. I know you guys take that currently. The good news is you don't have to take that right now. We actually joined with the other 4 consortia, and we got 20% off of the magazine piece because of our negotiating ability. They have, it's actually coming on really strong this year. They've made a lot of changes to their Overdrive magazine piece. Circulation is way up, but you don't have to continue your own magazine because it comes as part of your shared service, your mandatory service. So now that you know a little bit about what we mean by eBuckles, we want to talk about who collects for eBuckles. And this is actually a really important thing that you all should know. So in your mandatory collection, so South Orange is going to get charged next year for some money, and it's going to go into a pot, and we're going to buy stuff. Now I said eBuckles does sort of set what we're going to do, right? And they'll tell, you know, what we're going to, how much we're going to do. So last year, we had 4 aggregators. We expect they'll be the same, and they are charged with building what we call our core collection. And these are materials that we want to hold because we think they have beyond just general interest. And we collect in the adult fiction, the adult nonfiction, the juvenile, and the young adult areas. And for this past year, this represented about 50% of all of the shared funds. So of the Overdrive bill, when we created that $216,500, that is how about half of that money went to these core collections. These aggregators are volunteered by their library. They're not paid staff, and they are people who normally do e-content collection. And so they're doing it for us, and they're spending that money for that shared collection. Now, the other 50% of the funds, and this is again historical numbers, they could always change it, are done by Buckles office staff. And to date, in your coming into our consortium, that's me. And we like to talk about this really being more of the math problem. And so there are 2 pieces to this. There's holds ratios, which is the vast majority of money we spend in this area, and expiration content. And what that means is that, as we all know, we have a lot of metered content in e-content. And what we do there is, as we get to each week, as I purchase on a weekly basis, we'll look at what's going to sunset, and do we want to renew that? And we have a little bit of money to renew things that are going to expire if we think they're important to continue to have in the collection. The other piece of it, the vast majority of the bucket that office staff manages, is holds ratios. And we try to do the best we can. There's a lot of huge shift now into audiobook, so we're trying to pound those numbers down as best we can. I will tell you that on, if we can, we have the ability, and will have in the past, we'll buy some of those 100 simultaneous use copies on things just to knock down our holds ratio. But we pay attention to the holds ratio. Our goal is not to have anything over 5-to-1. Unfortunately, we don't have enough money to make that occur, but we do try very hard to keep our holds ratios down. The last thing about who collects for eBuckles that I think is super important to know is that our collections, all of our collections, conform to the eBuckles collection policy. So we actually have a policy that governs our shared collection. And this is important when we start talking about things like, let's say somebody doesn't like an ebook that we bought. What's going to happen? Well, it kind of depends. If there is a consortia copy to the book, and that's the book they use, they would actually be able to fill out a challenge form for us, and that we would then use a regular challenge like you're used to in public libraries to work through that. We also only collect, based on certain criteria that are in the collection policy. We'll send that along so that you know what that looks like. I don't know that it's crazy different than what else we have, but I think it's very important to know that there is a collection policy behind it, so that, for instance, if you had a South Orange patron who got upset because Dave Hansen decided to put something in the collection, that it would be the Buckles board and the Buckles staff that would be handling that challenge. Now, if it's something that they're challenging that you put into your local Advantage collection, well, that's going to be something we take up there. There is kind of a gray area, so that if it's something another Advantage library bought that they are sharing, there's not really a challenge opportunity there. But those are the way that we work our collection policy. You should know we do have them. It's one of two collection policies that the consortium does keep on as part of our policies and procedures. So this is the fun. This is where we talk to people about how they can make the most of an Advantage Plus collection. I understand, I think you guys are interested in one, and we want to just sort of get through some of the things, because we've had some recent changes actually that might benefit you. The first one here is the biggie. Historically, we have not allowed Advantage collections to have anything other than materials that are one copy, one user. That's kind of where we've been. We recently changed the policy, and now individual Advantage Plus libraries can use both simultaneous use and cost per circuit item types. Now, here's a really big part of that, which is that second bullet point, is if you were to say in your Buckles South Orange Advantage Plus, let's say I know my middle school is going to be reading The Count of Monte Cristo, and it's available in the simultaneous use access package, and I buy the simultaneous use thing so I can get Count of Monte Cristo so everybody can use it at the same time. Simultaneous use and cost per circ purchases in your Advantage account are not shared to the consortium. So nobody else in the consortium has access to these two types of materials. And that's a really important thing in terms of how you manage some of your very much demand at your local level. We are very big on cost per circ. There's actually a whole training that Tina Marie Duty does, Glenridge director, who uses this quite effectively. The cost per circ, we tell people, you might want to look at it as a cost-effective way of helping with your holds, because let's say, I know we just got the Britney Spears biography out, right? And let's say South Orange has got 4 people on hold who want this Britney Spears biography. Well, the biography, I think it's like $60, right? It's $60. And I think the cost per circ cost is something like $6, maybe 7. Let's say we've got 4 people on hold for South Orange. Well, if I take 4 times 7, that's $28. Well, that's significantly less than the 65 it would take to buy the one copy, one user. And so what we would tell you is it might be worth it for you to buy a cost per circ item. Now, if you've never used cost per circ, what happens is you go to a different part of the website, and we can certainly spend some time helping you understand how to do that. But you're going to purchase it. We always remind people that once you turn it on, because it's really turning on access to cost per circ, you don't sort of buy it, you just turn on the ability for your patrons to have it, then anybody with a hold can use it. And anybody who discovers it can use it. You will have the opportunity, you can literally turn it on and then turn it off. But in Overdrive's infinite wisdom and strength, it has a delay in when those things happen. The turning on happens pretty dang quick, as you can imagine. The turning off takes a little bit longer. So you are on the hook for any of those cost per circ items that happen from the time you say, I'm turning it off, until it actually gets turned off. So just remember, that's a thing. But those are a couple of big tools that we say you can use in your Advantage Plus to help you out in terms of knocking down some of those holds. Other things that we do that I think are really helpful. We provide an annual review of circulation stats that talk about their Advantage accounts. So what we will do on an annual basis, it takes me actually 3 days to pull all the data for this report, is we'll tell you just how much of your circulation came from other libraries, how much came from the central collection. We actually have a report we tend to do where it shows how much everybody spent. People tend to care about that. We release it to everybody. Your director will get that report, and you can kind of see how you stack up with everybody else in terms of use. It's not really a competition, but we do try to make sure that people understand those data points. We often will have people who talk about the fact that all their stuff goes out to other libraries, and we gently remind them that yes, that's true, but then their patrons get almost all their stuff from other libraries too. So that's what we try to do. It is the Overdrive is linked directly into the Buckles app. You get the Buckles app as part of your membership. And in that discovery layer, it's actually, if you find within a search for an ebook, it prompts you on how to go directly there to check it out. It's something we've been working on. We're really excited about it. We don't have a Hoopla working yet, but that is on our roadmap about where we want to go. So it does link directly to that Buckles app. I also want to tell you that there is an Advantage Plus email group that you are welcome to have somebody sign up for. It tends to be folks who are collectors, maybe not on the eBuckles committee, and they get emails. So we send out an email every week on what we purchased for holds. We find it's an interesting thing for people to know, and we tell you what the central collection purchased to help meet holds and what those ratios are for holds for both ebooks and the audiobooks. If let's say you're not a director and you're not on eBuckles, we do send that to the Advantage Plus email group as well. So that's another way that you can make sure you stay on top of things, right? So that is making the most of your Advantage Plus. So let's talk about what everybody favorite things, when things go right and when things go wrong. So first thing I want to remind people, so one of the things that can happen, and if you want to know what our number one thing that breaks in Overdrive for our shared collection is somebody gets a new card, right? And when they get the new card, they go to Libby and they input the number and it doesn't show up. And they're like freaked out. What happened? Or it shows up because they're authenticated, but it doesn't show up the holds, the 5 holds they had before. Well, the thing to remember about Overdrive, which you probably do because you're eLibrary, is they're essentially 2 different ILS systems, right? And one just authenticates and says, are you able to borrow? It doesn't actually say, we know who you are, right? So whenever you have a replacement card or somebody changes a card or somebody, South Orange is a lovely place to live. And so you might have people move in and they might move from another part of the Buckles footprint and they'll have their card and they'll change it to a South Orange card. Through the ticketing system, we ask you to make sure you send us whenever you have new card changes, because upon that change, right, we have a way of merging the old card and the new card together so that it will then show the patron what they're looking for, right? It's a very much of a patron thing. It's also very important because if you want them to use that new card, because it tracks them as your patron use, right? Overdrive ILS is a very limited ILS, and so we want to make sure you get credit for the things that your patrons do, right? So that's a really big thing we tell you to do. And a lot of times when a patron has problems, 9 out of 10 times that's what it is. I will also tell you if something happens with a patron checkout, hold, or other problem, we're here to help. And there are certain things that we can do, and there are certain things that we can see that you can't. And there are certain things at our level that we can do. Now there is a limit sometimes. And occasionally, what's a really big thing to do here is we'll get a known bug. The last really big known bug was, I believe it was an iPhone system upgrade that if you didn't do, something broke in Libby. I can't remember all the things. It was about 2 years ago. And because we knew that, we can tell you, okay, now this is probably what the problem is. There are other things that can defeat things. South Orange is not one of the most common town names, so I don't know how many other town names there are, but sometimes that can happen. And in worst case, comes to worst case, we get overdrive involved. And we do on occasion have to get overdrive involved because something breaks beyond what we can even figure out. So just remember, we're here to help. There's a ticketing system. Your patrons actually, I believe it exists through overdrive. It sends it right to me, and we do a lot of work there. I want to remind you that if you choose to set up your Advantage account, and I think you're going to, you will have an administrative account. We'll get you started. I know I talked to Jill yesterday. As we come out of this meeting, I will notify our overdrive rep that we want to get you guys set up, and they'll have some paperwork for you. The main thing to understand here is that overdrive will take care of the initial setup. But let's say for some reason you change who you want your administrative person to be, who's got the big power at your place to see things. We can help. We'll be the ones we have access to change that and make sure it all gets taken care of. We do that all the time. And the final one is a push I always make, because Darlene is always somebody I want to make sure we keep happy. You can be part of an eBuckles committee and have a bigger impact, right? Our eBuckles committee does a lot of amazing things, and if you really care about e-content, I think this is a great understanding of how you can get in and really talk about the big issues. This, I know right now what they're considering is whether or not we should be collecting and disseminating access to podcasts. Don't know where that's going to go, but we know that that's something that a lot of people care about, and we know that it's something a lot of people might have interest in. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but the eBuckles committee does a lot of really great work. It's got a lot of good people on it. They tend to move, and just so you guys know, they tend to meet virtually 100% of the time. So they don't tend to come together in a group, but that's the way they go at it as well. So we've talked through a lot of different things, and now is our time for questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing it because we don't need to see that big one up there. We can unmute everybody.
Yep, I'm sending the requests to unmute as we speak to everyone. So go ahead and look for that request to unmute, and go ahead and unmute if you can, and go ahead with your questions. You can raise your hand if you'd like. There is a feature to raise your hand, and then we can address your questions in order. And we'll just deal with the echo. Okay, so everyone is unmuted. I have a question from Jill. Dave, go ahead, Jill.
Thank you. I have two questions. I'm sorry I'm echoing, but I don't think it's me, but I have two questions. First of all, why wouldn't we want to be an Advantage member? What would be the con, or I guess the pros of not being one, if there are any? And then my second question, if you want to address this too, is does I know these ebooks auto renew. Does that count as another? So if it's a pay per circ, would it be another charge for that circ? They auto renew. Thanks.
Oh, sorry, Dave.
Go ahead, Margaret.
That I'm not of the understanding that they auto renew. When I use e-content, I have to submit a renewal.
Okay, sorry. I'm thinking of, never mind. Thinking of something else then.
Yeah. So I'm going to take the second one, the second question first. So your ebooks, the CPC, you could have actually a cost per circ, and you could have a one copy, one user. There's no rules about those things. The biggest thing about the CPC is just know when you decide to turn it off, and I do recommend having a time when you turn it off. I typically, when I use it here, We've had a couple of issues where we needed committees to read things, and so we turned it on, committee read. And I tell them it's open for like 6 hours and I turn it off. You just want to make sure you don't leave it on. Leaving it on has a couple of different things. One, you can get charged, it just keeps charging. And two, there are some things that happen in discovery that they haven't solved yet that are known issues in overdrive that drive some people crazy. So why wouldn't you do Advantage? I firmly believe in Advantage. I think the best idea for why you wouldn't do an Advantage is if you're a library with limited resources and you're already in a consortium like you are, and you said, well, I want to be in one, not the other, and I want to spend all my money in one to get the most bang for my buck, that would be why you wouldn't want to be an Advantage. For our libraries that are not Advantage libraries, generally what they say, I think I'm capturing them right, Margaret will hold me to account if I'm not, is that they tend to be libraries that have very specialized collections that are very expensive. So I have one library that spends it just has a fantastic graphic novel collection and has an insane odd movie collection, if you will. And because of that decision from their perspective, they feel like they're lending those things which no one else is collecting, and so therefore they're not being part of an Advantage account. So those would be, if you're looking for why people sometimes don't become an Advantage member, that's why. I would tell you the CPC piece of it, now that CPC is a thing, all you have to do is spend about 5 minutes with Tina Marie Duty, and you'll probably be converted to the Church of CPC. She's a big believer in it. We've used it before, so.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I see no more hands raised at the moment. But if anyone has a question, Lindita or Nancy, you're still unmuted. I believe the others remuted themselves. So if you need me to unmute you, just chat me.
I know you guys have Overdrive and use it, so I know you're pretty familiar with the product.
Yeah, we are very familiar with it, and no, I think this was helpful. This is great. And the CPC is are we meeting with Tina Marie? I don't think so. I think we're meeting with, or are we? I'm sorry, I didn't look at the preview.
You're going to meet with Nick to talk about, we just want you to understand, I think we talked a little bit about it, Jill. We want your staff to understand what it looks like when you have two different Overdrive accounts in your Overdrive thing for your patrons, so that your staff is just kind of aware. Because the first time it's not something that's rocket science, but the first time you see something, you're kind of like, what? And there are some choices you can make. I know Jill was sharing that she's a Buckles. She lives in a Buckles library, so she has she has access to two Overdrive accounts, so she's pretty well aware of what happens there. What we do, so we have as part of our strategic plan a call for a training on all our mandatory services. So we do training for eBuckles, and Tina Marie offers a CPC training, I think twice a year.
Okay.
Now, in terms of if I can't remember when the next one's up, I think we're just setting that calendar for next year now. But if for instance, you're like, I can't wait, I really want to do CPC, because who wouldn't? Tina Marie is a very lovely person, and we call her up and say, hey, Tina, can you walk me through CPC? I always tell people she's, just so you all know, one thing we didn't talk about, but I think it's important, particularly for you guys to know, the central collection is kind of a Frankenstein version of Overdrive Advantage. So the way that they created ours, remember I said you can't share CPC and simultaneous. Well, we can at the consortia level, and so it was kind of jerry-rigged to do that. And because of that, and because of how we function, I actually don't see the same things you do when you're in your Advantage account. Like, we don't see the same thing. It's similar. It's not completely different, but I don't see the same thing. And so a lot of times when we're doing training, particularly on how to do CPC at the local level, we really do like to get a director involved, because I have never been a director at a Buckles library, and I've never used our Advantage collection at that level. So it's important, I think, sometimes for you to hear from the folks and to see it, because it is, my understanding is it's different enough that people will ask me like, well, what does that look like? And I'll be like, I have no idea, because that's not what I see.
Okay.
So, but yeah, we can get you set up on CPC. Just so you know, I'm a huge believer. We can't use it at the consortia level that much because, for obvious reasons. We do tend, and I think I mentioned this, one of the things we're really trying to do on the hold side is if we can fit one of the 100 simultaneous use. The way we kind of look at it is if we have a book that's got over 100 holds, or an audio that's got over 100 holds, and it's got 100 use thing, we typically will try to make that purchase work within our holds purchasing, just so that we can knock it down, because we know that that's a really effective way of using shared money to knock down holds, so that you wouldn't want to go out and spend more money on that hold.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Do you want to just share, Dave, what the next steps would be for setting up Advantage Plus?
Sure. Well, so what we'll do is when we're done with this, as I said, I'll reach out to Nick. The way we do it, it's kind of, we started doing this new protocol. There used to be a protocol where you had to come into the office, set through a presentation. It was a little buying timeshares, kind of what it was like. And the thing was, Margaret did it, and so everybody bought the timeshare. Now that it's me, I don't think I could have the same closure rate that she could. What we do now, and because we figured it out during COVID, we couldn't get together. Basically, I reach out to Nick, and Jill, whoever you want me to include on that email for setup purposes. So if it's you, if it's somebody else, let me know. And I'm just going to say, hey, Nick, it's time to add South Orange to the Buckles account. And he'll reach back out with a form that he needs you to sign. I think they still have a marginal number you have to spend, but it's so small that it's not really germane.
Okay.
And it's over the lifetime. It's not even over like the next 6 months. You got to spend like $250 over the lifetime of membership.
Okay.
So you get the next 100 years.
That's okay. We'll try to do that. No problem. No worries.
And I am serious. When is your Overdrive magazine renewal up?
I'd have to look. It's part of the states, that it's part of our other Overdrive service. So
it's part of eLibrary?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
So
well, then don't you? Well, so the only thing that could. Wow, I'm actually not sure how this. I may have to ask Nick. So you will have access to both magazine things for a while?
It sounds like it, but I don't know if I have to look at the bill and see if they charge. I thought it was built into the price, but now that you're saying, maybe it's not. So I have to look at the invoice and see.
So yeah, if you don't, I guess if it's, it's probably not an opt-in service. So you will end up paying for.
Yeah, I don't want to pay that much then. I didn't. Let me look at the invoice and I have to get back and see.
So we got that going on. I will just give you a heads up. Magazine Circ, I don't know if you've looked at it this month. It tripled for us. They've redone the way they do magazines. I don't know if anybody has seen it. They've spent a lot of time and effort on magazines. I really thought, I'll be honest, this is our second year of a 2-year contract. We got a really good deal on, although eLibrary got the same deal because we all negotiated together. So you got the same deal. But I was really kind of worried. So normally we do about 8,000 to 9,000 circs a month. Last month we did 31,000.
Wow.
And it's all, so they made a huge change in the way they handle magazines and the way and how they do things. And it appears, because the first thing I did when I saw it, I emailed Overdrive and said, okay, is this fake news? Am I looking at something? I'm like, what did you do? Did you just like have everybody like 3 times? And he said, no, it's real CERT. The main thing that they did was they allow you to set up a recurring circulation of
Of a
the
delivery.
magazines,
Yep.
automatic delivery, and so you don't have to go find them every time. So
Yeah, it's a great service because then you're notified. I haven't used it in Overdrive. We had another service for a while and they let you set up a personalized account, right? And then you're just delivered the actual new edition or new volume of that. So it's very convenient. I think it does increase circulation and that's what you want. So that's great.
so yeah, it's different.
I just noticed in the chat, Michael confirmed that the e-library rate includes magazines and there's no opt-out.
Yeah. So maybe we
So-
have to revisit the pricing there and just see.
So
Okay.
I apologize for bringing you the bad news.
I was gonna look anyway after we spoke yesterday, but haven't got to it yet.
Both services are charging you for magazines. The good news is it's a smaller price. It's in the vast majority of things. It's a pretty good deal. But yeah, so that's e-magazines. And we really do mean it. If you have people who have problems, we will do our level best to help. I'm sure you guys have. I'm sure eLibrary NJ does the same thing. I think Eric's team is supposed to support that. I think is how that works. But we normally find most of our issues are resolved in one ticket. We rarely have an issue that goes beyond that. Typically, if we do, we get into hardware problems.
Okay.
A lot of times. But yeah, we will solve your issue as much as we do. We try to keep those, just so you know, the thing where we talk about merging, we do a lot of merging of cards. And we do that. I don't know what they do in eLibrary, but here, because we do have people who move, we do a lot of merging of cards. And we find, like I said, 9 out of 10 issues are resolved through the merging of cards.
Okay. And I saw that Margaret put put the link in there for the how to do that, I believe. So
Yes, I added the link in the chat to the eBuckles collection development policy, and
Yep.
I added the link for the patron barcode change support form, which is the same form that you could use for just a general eBuckles ticket. That's just the support page that has the full form for you.
perfect. Thank you.
And we, and as we mentioned, Hoopla is not part of our app discovery yet. We do work on that a long time. I know you guys don't have it, so it doesn't impact you guys as much. But it is something people ask about from time to time. It's probably the next thing that we're going to add in our discovery layer is that. But Overdrive, it's actually one of Margaret's projects. Got the API, and so we're actively making our Buckles app, which we hope you use, a little bit better for discovery of both regular and e-content.
Okay, we have Canopy, so
Yeah, everybody wants that as well.
okay. So tell us when you're ready for that. We'll be on that committee.
You'll be on that. Well, Canopy is actually, if you're looking and you want to propose Canopy to be a system-wide service, that's eBuckles.
Yep.
They're the ones who would need to get involved in terms of making it integrated in the app. That's something we're actively working with the ILS about. I know, is Canopy part of Vega integration, Margaret?
Canopy. I don't think so yet. That's a good question.
So I know it's one of those services that a lot of our libraries use. But video is still something that's been hard to amalgam. You know, the PALS project, which is available to everybody, they still haven't even figured out how to do active pain for their comic books yet. So,
Okay.
but we do want discovery to happen in all of those things.
Okay, great.
Michael, it may seem obvious, but I would just double check, like it might seem like, of course, the barcode merge would work if you did it on your end versus if we did it on on our end. But I just would want to make sure that when you merge the cards, it doesn't have to also be done in our marketplace because we have our own separate content. I don't know. I'm clearly speaking from a point of, being uninformed on this score because I just don't know how it all works. But we could try to find out, I guess. We could always ask Nick, Dave, if he merges the cards himself on his end, does that work for our end as well? Because, if you can save yourself submitting all those barcode change requests, great. But if you need to do them, we need to know about that. I don't see any more questions.
Well, guys, we're always thankful to get to talk to South Orange. We're super stoked. We know our date's coming upon us.
They sure are.
So we're, we cannot wait till we're fully integrated because, we think everybody makes everybody stronger. So we're super excited about that. I know you guys are probably more excited about it than us because we don't have to double in or anything, but we appreciate all the hard work you guys are doing down there. And thanks for taking the time to listen to me talk about e-content. We really do like eBuckles. We think it's one of the jewels of the consortium. And it's a testament to sharing. Literally, I come back to that same stat all the time, that 85% on average of the stuff that your patrons is going to use is coming from somewhere else. And that's going to be likely the same for your patrons. And I think where we are in e-content, given the verities of pricing, given how we get it, given all those different things, I think it's one of the ways that library strength comes to play. So.
Okay, I'll go ahead and stop the recording and then I'll just open it up